Hey guys, I just wanted to do a video about the Ford AOD transmission shift adjustment. Recently I got a 1964 Falcon Sprint and I got a bad hip now, so I can't do the 4-speed anymore. So I went and bought me a Ford AOD transmission and a motor out of a Thunderbird, low mileage, 60,000 miles. So I decided to put that in there and take the 260 out and a 4-speed out, and you know, just go the easy. I'm 55 years old, got a bad hip, so put me some. It already had 325 gears in the rear end, so we just left it. We left that there. But the problem was that the transmission. Here's the Falcon. See the motor. That's just 302 out of the Thunderbird. It's dressed up. My Falcon. Just put a little old shifter in it. Took the tunnel out of it and put a cover over it to make it smoother by the accelerator pedal. You can still see still retains the 4-speed clutch pedal in there. Sprint. Anyway, back to the transmission. I've seen a lot of videos. When I put the Thunderbird had been setting up a long time, and so when I put the overdrive transmission and motor in the thing, the transmission wouldn't shift. So I'm a big YouTube guy, so I looked on YouTube, and there's just not any real clear videos about not shifting. And there's all the transmission gurus on there showing you how to adjust the adjustment on it, the A or TV adjustment on it to make it shift. And since I'm a pretty good mechanic, but I'm just not a transmission guy, and especially when it comes to the Ford AOD, just never mess with them. Mess with a lot of C4s, C6s, turbo 350 Chevrolets, but just never overdrive transmission out of a Ford. So the transmission wouldn't shift, so we messed around, and I looked on the internet, looked on YouTube, and they said, well, it's the TV adjustment, TV linkage. The TV linkage, that's all everybody kept saying. It's real touchy and all that. So messed around with it, still could never get the shift. So long story short, I took and I had serviced the transmission, and I put new fluid, new filter in it. There was nothing foreign in there. It only had, the car actually had 59,000 miles on it, actual documented miles on the engine and transmission. So there's really not much to do to it. You know, service it out, dress it up, put it in my car. But my fix for the transmission was it would not shift. It would go in reverse. It would go in first, but not shift out of first. Okay, it wouldn't shift. And I wasn't familiar with the adjustments on the TV, so I didn't know if I was going too far, too much, too little. But the fix for the transmission not shifting was this: Trans-X. Okay, it may be backwards on the camera. I don't know. I think it may be backwards, but it's Trans-X. Okay. I put this stuff in there after a week of not shifting. The car went down the road approximately a mile and shifted into second gear. What it was, I guess, was varnishing the transmission. All right. Well, after it shifted and everything started working properly, then I figured out how to adjust the TV linkage. Okay. If you take the TV linkage and zero it out, pull it all the way to the top, that transmission should shift. It will short shift, but it will shift. Okay, the more adjustment you make where the TV linkage goes down further, the later your shift and the later overdrive comes in. Now, I don't know about pressures and burning the transmission up or anything, but I do know that if you just undo the linkage from the side of your transmission, that transmission should shift, and mine did. Okay, I just undone the transmission just to see, so I could make this video. But if you take and put a little bit of pressure on the TV linkage, it shortens the shift. Okay, and then it lengthens the shift, and the more adjustment you put on it, the longer it takes to shift. I got mine now where it shifts out of second gear at about 2,000 RPM. Okay, it shifts about 55. I believe that it feels like to me that the overdrive is governed. You know, it's off the governor, because that's the way the transmission kicks down. It kicks down like it's governed. I'm sure it has a lot to do with the governor and when it shifts, or how it shifts. Okay, but I do know that about 50 miles an hour it kicks into overdrive, 55 miles an hour. But I know that I figured out that the longer the stroke on the TV, the longer it takes to shift. But the transmission should shift. If you're having shifting troubles out of a Ford AOD, especially mine is a 1980 Ford AOD, 81, excuse me, 81 Ford AOD. If you're having shifting trouble out of it, and you can take that TV linkage loose, and it should shift, and the slightest little movement should lengthen your shifts. If it's not shifting, then you have other trouble. Mine was varnish in the transmission. I believe that, you know, the Transex took care of that. That's what it was, varnish. I had something stuck. Okay, and that's what it's going to be with your transmission. And just telling you, okay, instead of the experts telling you that, you know, that they always go to the TV cable. In all the videos I've watched and seen the people write it on the blogs, it's not going to be the TV cable causing your transmission not to shift. You have an internal problem. It's either going to be varnish, rust, or something like that. If your transmission's been sitting, that's what's going to be the problem. That's what I figured out, and I'm just passing it on. Maybe this will make it easier for you. But thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later.